Hey, Chuck, this is Peppermint Patty. Today we got over 2 hours. That's right, 2 hours. Count them, 2 hours of post E3 discussion and impressions. Dave and I, the I in that statement being me, Carlos, we talk about a lot. So we've got timestamps in the episode description. We're going to start with our general E3 impressions, our awards, and then we have sometimes guests of the show, Kiki and Po, talking about their thoughts on PSO2 coming west and a whole bunch of other stuff. Stay tuned, enjoy, use those timestamps to jump around where you want to go or listen to everything in one chunk. It's all up to you. See you on the flip side.
Spoilers and offensive content to come.
Oh, yeah. We are Carlos and Dave, and this is Two Fat Guys Talk. And this is our post-E3 podcast. Dave, how you doing, friend?
This E3 was interesting.
There's a strange dichotomy to this E3, I felt. There were surprises, both good and bad. There was satisfaction and disappointment.
Yeah.
There were missing games, new hotness in their stead. It was an interesting one, especially considering we're in kind of a pivotal era right now where we have two major players, Sony and Microsoft, potentially working on new consoles to be unveiled soon, and we have Nintendo. They're going strong, but we'll want to see what their response is to the changing landscape. And we have this talk of streaming, this prominent talk of streaming, which I find very troubling. But it was a fascinating E3 for better or worse, I felt. No fighting game news, really, though. And I'm not surprised. EVO is really the fighting game news thing. So We're going to hear... There are a lot of new games that might have been shown today that are going to really only be shown in August for that. So
yeah, I mean, really, E3 is no longer the pivotal event that it used to be, because there's now multiple events all around the year that has released like that. Like, even with Sony, I mean, Sony might have shown a couple good games. They didn't, but that's just this E3. But even then, for their big Japanese games, they got released during their own event.
Mm-hmm. And then there's other events like that. There are other general events like Tokyo Game Show, the PAXs.
The PAXs now, yeah.
There's individual things like Nintendo Direct, State of Play, BlizzCon, Inside Xbox. Mm-hmm. So, I mean...
So it's no longer the premier event of yesteryear.
This is the second time in history I can think of where E3 kind of is falling from grace. Do you think there's going to be a couple years where E3 is not relevant anymore, and then they're going to come back yet again?
It can only come back if the developers see value in it, though.
You're not wrong, Dave. You are not wrong.
Now, we had talked about some awards for different things. Now, I probably added a couple more on.
I also added some extra awards, okay. So I'm glad that you did as well. But there are going to be some that we're probably that we probably both have in our category. For example, the Best Conference Award.
Now, I decided to split this up into two.
Sure.
Because there is Best Conference.
Okay.
And there is Best Presentation.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that you may have had the best conference, but you may not have been the best showman.
Oh, put as many as you like. For my categories, I have a winner and then honorable mentions. In one case,
okay.
A lot of honorable mentions. So
okay, good. So, yeah. So, Best Conference. For me, this is split between Nintendo and Microsoft for different reasons.
Okay.
I think Nintendo had the best overall conference, but Microsoft had more games I gave a fuck about.
That's always important.
So in that's why Microsoft and Nintendo kind of share this, because Nintendo's conference is same as. At least Nintendo was showing gameplay, which is the main reason why Nintendo gets on this list for me.
Oh yeah, something I noted here. There was a lot of cutscene trailers this E3. Even Nintendo was guilty of this a couple times.
But yet Nintendo had the most actual gameplay shown.
Sure.
So that's why for this one, I split Nintendo and Microsoft right down the middle.
Cool. My winner was Nintendo, but I arrived at that. I was very torn because I really liked a lot of Square Enix's. I think even without Avengers at the end, I don't think it would have been my best one. But I'm definitely glad that Square Enix and Nintendo were at the end. So I ended E3 off on a high note.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Nintendo with honorable mentions to Square Enix.
Okay.
You name an award.
Well, best presentation.
Best presentation. Now,
when I say presentation,
okay,
I mean ultimately when you look at how the presentation was done. So for Nintendo, it was little scene with somebody talking, or the cool Bowser skit.
And in Square, they had the whole framed art gallery motif.
Okay.
Okay.
A couple of years back, I would have given this easily to Bethesda because they did that whole Doom map kind of thing where they went to one game and to the next.
Yeah, they had that carnival theme that one year, which I actually really liked.
So, for best presentation this year, I give it to Square.
Okay.
Followed by a millimeter, Devolver Digital.
That's about 1/8 of an inch for you Americans out there. Probably less than that, even.
I mean, it is so bloody close, but I just love how Square went from frame to frame, like this is an art piece.
Yeah. I didn't have this category, but I'm going to award it right now, and I will double that up. Square Enix's presentation was definitely the best. I'm not sure who I would give an honorable mention to. Everyone kind of had something going, except for the ones that didn't really do a proper show like EA, but that's not really fair to condemn them for that because they didn't come in doing a full kind of normal conference. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even sure who I would give a second to. Maybe Microsoft, but they always have a big spectacle.
Not Devolver? I mean, Devolver is honestly, Devolver almost took the cake on this one. Because Devolver put so much work for having such little amount of games
for sure
to put out. Like, they are the showman genius of it. But that's their thing. That is their niche that they have developed over a number of years. For the main conferences, though, Square nailed it for presentation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Devolver, the thing with them is that all of their stuff is always riffing on something else.
Yeah.
The first 2 years, it was the whole idea of an E3 presentation. The third year was the Nintendo Direct kind of riffing.
Yeah.
So, I had a blast, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure I'd give it an award, but I still liked it.
Well, you wanted somebody who could come close in second place.
Sure, and I guess I kind of like the fact that Microsoft's whole set had a bowels. Like, there was the set, and then there was a labyrinth under it that one imagines could act as a dungeon, ?
That was neat how the Gears group used that.
Now, that begs the question, do presentation stages need bowels?
Well, I think what needs to happen, though, is the main companies need to not do what Sony did last year. Oh my god, no. Because even their presentation for that sucked. But you need to put some effort into it. You need to, it needs to flow. Like, you want to, I guess the best way to put it is you need to kind of inject some Disney magic.
Some showmanship, maybe?
Some showmanship, yes. Don't just go from one game to the next. Nintendo's Direct they did a couple years back with, not Slow Robot.
With Robot Chicken.
Robot Chicken.
And then they had the one scene where Reggie Fils-Aime and that guy, he passed away, rest in peace. What the fuck was he? That one then president of Nintendo.
I know who you're talking about.
They did the Dragon Ball fight.
But that was showmanship. It wasn't just game. Like, I took marks away from Microsoft for that because it was guy comes on screen, talks a couple minutes about their game, show a pre-made cinematic, next game. You need to do more than that.
I don't know if you necessarily need to do more.
If you want to win this category, you do.
I mean, picking a winner for E3 is already kind of silly to begin with, but I don't know if you need to do it, but yeah, I get it. So I'll name an award next. The Game of the Show Award. Now, this one for me, very easy. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Holy shit. I was not on board. For 3 years, I wasn't on board. And now I'm on board. After seeing that long-ass gameplay demo and how Cloud and Barrett control differently and reading people who played the demo on the show floor talking about how cool it was and setting up limit break combos, it seems they finally found a good marriage between kind of Kingdom Heartsy action and the menu system. And I'm more excited for the mechanics of the game than to relive the story. Unless it's... and I might be putting out a video, Keekside might be putting out a video here soon about our theory on this, unless it turns out that this is a sequel and not a remake and there's time travel involved.
I don't think it's a sequel.
Sure, but I'm more excited for the mechanics of things, but that whole demonstration, I was hooked. I was glued to the screen. I was like, that looks like fun. And I was watching with people who were cynical of it and before, and they were brought on board. Final Fantasy VII Remake just blew me the fuck away. With my honorable mentions going to a game that I hope does not get lost in the shuffle. It's coming out here very soon, in the next couple months, I believe, Astral Chain. The Platinum character action game that's been in the last 2 directs now.
Okay. Well, I mean, you are allowed to be wrong. Final Fantasy VII looks amazing. It loses points for me because it is a remake.
Sure. Or is it?
No, I'm very sure it's a remake. And the fact that Disc 1 takes place completely in Midgard, which was a 10 to 12 hour period in the original game, and they're claiming it's going to be a full game of at least 40 hours kind of thing. Well, they haven't given us an hour spectrum, but it's a full game filling up 2 Blu-ray discs. So they're adding a lot of storyline / integrating in the other games in here.
Oh, for sure. Plus, let's not forget that boss fight Cloud and Barrett were on in the original game, which was a very easy game, which I'm hoping this has difficulty selectors. That boss is maybe a 2-minute fight at best, and here it was a very involved fight.
Yeah.
But I get it. What was your game of the show, though?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
I know it's not your sort of game.
Oh, I have a lot to say about that game, and none of it is good. But I'll wait until the Xbox part when we're at.
I know where we're going with that. Yeah, I'll tell you a new one later.
Well, no, actually, maybe I should talk about it now, because you talked about FF7 now, so... Okay, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Fuck Cyberpunk 2077. What brave storytelling in the cyberpunk dystopia. White guy beating up black people. Oh, yeah. Oh, so cyberpunk. So, such good use of a storytelling medium that is traditionally, a great way of expression for, like, LGBTQIA+ themes. Not to mention CD Projekt Red's terrible transphobic tweets in the past about it. Their recent talk about how they're only going to have voluntary crunch to complete the game, which is to say actual crunch. And the most boring, generic fucking protagonist possible in a setting that should have had way more creativity. But it's okay, though, because Keanu Reeves was there. So it's fine. Fuck that game.
Okay, so let's see now. A protagonist that you can customize 100%, including sex,
cool,
race, transgender.
Cool. They should have put that in the trailer. Instead of white guy beating up black people.
I cannot argue, however, if it was a black guy beating up white people, you'd have the other side complaining.
I don't give a shit about the other side. The other side is wrong.
Anyway.
The other side does not... White people don't suffer racism on this continent. They don't.
True.
So when we have a trailer where it's generic white protagonist beating up black people, evil black people, I'm like, good work, CD Projekt Red. So brave. So brave with the cyberpunk genre. Oh, so good. it also looks fucking boring, so whatever. There, now I don't have to say all this shit later. But Keanu Reeves is there. I love Keanu Reeves. So there's that. Your award is up next.
Game most looking forward to are games.
Okay. I didn't have one, but I mean, I already know what my answers are going to be. Go ahead.
I've got Outer Worlds.
Yeah, the Outer Worlds.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
And Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Cool. I will also put Outer Worlds on there, and I'll also add Doom Eternal, and I'll put my the games I mentioned for Game of the Show, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Astral Chain. I was not expecting to be so hyped for a Breath of the Wild sequel, but I am.
Only reason I didn't put Breath of the Wild 2 on there is because we're far away from it.
Yeah, we're so far away we don't even have a title or a logo or anything except for what was admittedly a really hype fucking little teaser.
Yes.
Also really want to play Contra Rogue Core. The moment I saw that shit, I'm like, well, Dave's going to be happy. And a Dark Crystal Tactics game? But we'll talk about that more when we get to the Nintendo part.
Talk about that later.
All right. Is that it for that category?
Yes.
Okay. Biggest surprise award. Yeah. And before I mention mine, there were a ton of surprises this E3. They weren't all great surprises, but there were so goddamn many. Mine was Phantasy Star Online 2 coming west.
Same.
And we actually have some input from Po and Keeks, who are not on... They're not here right now, but they recorded some input based on that since they played, but we'll play that later on in the show. Honorable mentions, and I have a big list for this one. Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, Trials of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3 coming west, Breath of the Wild 2, Tales of Arise looking like it was made on current-gen hardware and not on Twine and Prayer. Finally, a Tales game that actually looks good. Contra Rogue Core, just that there's a new Contra game at all. That Dark Crystal game, which I believe was, the full title was, The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. And, Enter the Gungeon, House of the Gun Dead, Devolver's first coin-op game, light gun game, which I have no doubt you're looking forward to, if we can find an arcade with it.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, PSO2, definitely on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild 2, and Final Fantasy 8.
They found the source code! They found it!
I'm wondering less if they found it, or if they didn't reverse engineer their engine from the PC version.
Could have been that.
Because that probably would have been the easiest of the three to have gone through.
It was a partially melted master disc under someone's couch.
Well,
we found the code, guys.
The reason why I say the PC version, because the PC version, much like Final Fantasy VII, has had mods for it, done by fans to include higher textures and everything else. And really, that's all Square's doing here, is they're just inputting new character sprites, if you will. Not really sprites, I know, but character models. So, I mean, the fans have been doing that for years now. So, grabbing the PC version, grabbing character models made by Square, not by the fans, because that would be wrong, and then making an engine that could play it on console would make a lot more sense. Because you couldn't do that through an emulator through, say, the PlayStation 1 version.
It's literally just a PC version in a wine wrapper.
Yeah, I could see that happening. But here's the thing. It's complete now. It's not just 7, 9.
7, 9, 10, and whatever the fuck comes between 7 and 9.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely match you on that. Next one. Mm-hmm. Weirdest announcement.
I have weirdest moment, but we'll lump these together.
Sure. I have a 3-hit combo for this one.
You have a hat trick.
PSO2 was definitely out of left field.
Kind of weird.
The announcement that Fallout 76 is getting NPCs.
Yeah. Finally, NPCs and Battle Royale.
I will get to that later in Bethesda's conference. And the Blair Witch Project horror game.
Just called Blair Witch. Yeah, that was unexpected. Did you also think it was Alan Wake?
Well, it's funny. I was texting with you at the time, and I put Silent Hill, comma, Alan Wake, comma, Blair Witch, just as the logo came up. And the reason I did that was when they got to the part where the guy was in the corner staring at the corner, I'm like, Blair Witch. I did not think it was going to be Blair Witch, but that moment is the pivotal thing around the Blair Witch mythos. So I just typed that as a joke. I didn't think it was serious. But who the fuck thought that bringing Blair Witch back as a horror game... Because let's face it, the movie was not scary. It was not horror by any means of the imagination. I mean, the games were more horror, but that was because they were bad games. So have Blair Witch pop back up after all these years is just like, what? Could you not get the Silent Hill or any other horror game license? Did you have a toonie in your pocket and you just bought the license on a whim?
A toonie for our American friends is a $2 coin. My weirdest moment.
Yeah.
So after they showed Gears 5, they went to their dungeon that's built into the stage, and they showed WWE superstars playing that new escape mode, and then they panned away from them, and we never heard from them again. They're just there playing the games, out of sight, but they wanted us to know there they are. There's Xavier Woods and company playing Gears 5. All right, bye. Back to the show, because it's not done.
What would be funny is if on the next WWE, they were just missing.
Yeah, they're like, well, they're not back yet. They go back to the dungeons as bones. My honorable mentions go to who... Okay, Gears 5 is going to be fire. I love Gears of War. It's going to be great. Kate is finally the protagonist like she should have been in the last game. I'm so looking forward to Gears 5. Who the fuck thought that teaser was a good idea? Of just Kate and faces coming out of Kate.
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, thanks.
It was bad.
What a stupid teaser.
Yep.
That was the worst teaser I've ever seen for anything.
I've got that mentioned further down.
Yeah. That was weird, and not the good weird. Next word category. For me, I don't know if you'll have this one, the Under Every Radar Award.
Nope.
No, I know you won't, because I made it up. This is an award for something that just is under every radar. My winner here was Empire of Sin, which was shown during the Nintendo presentation of all things, but it is a multi-console game. It's by Romero Games. It's that one that's kind of like the Chicago gangster era game with zombies and Tommy guns and shit. I was not expecting that, and I kind of like the aesthetic of it. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but that flew way under the radar. My honorable mention goes to Astral Chain yet again, and I'm really worried because I really think that game deserves its own direct at the very least. But yeah, that's my Under Every Radar award.
Okay, well, I'm coming up with this on the fly, granted, but I would say Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles coming out again.
Hey, do you think we're going to need 4 Game Boy Advances to play it?
No, I think they've learned their lesson from that one. I really do. And I won't do a honorable mention because I just thought that one up.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Next one would be this one's kind of obvious. Worst show.
The Worst Show Award.
Now, I'm not going to break this up into presentation and conference, just what was the worst show.
Well, I fell asleep during the PC gaming one, but...
That's granted.
It wasn't even necessarily bad. I just did not give a shit, so it would be unfair to call it that. And I didn't even watch the Ubisoft one, and I have no regrets about that either. The worst one? Man, I don't... You know what? I'm going to abstain from picking one, because the ones I watched, there was still some effort put into it, but let's say Bethesda.
So...
Which I'm loath to do because there were still hype elements in it.
Oh, sure, but... And again, I'll touch on more why later, but... Mm-hmm. Worst show is Sony. followed by Bethesda.
Sony's show from last year is so bad it still wins this award now.
Yes.
Yes. The Protect Their Smile Award. This one goes to Ikumi Nakamura of Tango Gameworks, a highlight of the Bethesda show. Even ignoring the fact that she is friggin' adorable, she did concept art and other work on Okami and Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, someone told me that part of Bayonetta's look is based off her. I don't know if that's exactly true, but Ikumi Nakamura won my heart, and she won everyone's heart, apparently.
I will agree with this one.
Excellent. Do you have any more awards?
Well, my last one, most gameplay shown.
Yeah, so this is a very objective award.
Not really.
Is it because we have to time everything now?
No, you just look at the number of games that were shown and whether they actually showed pre-rendered CG or actual fucking gameplay of the game.
I was here calculating, okay, they showed how many minutes of Final Fantasy VII Remake, so that one won, right? No, you're talking about individual conferences.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for this one, it's easy, Nintendo.
Agreed, Nintendo. Even they fell into the trap of just some cutscene trailers, but for the most part, we got to see how games played with them.
And, this year was the year of the cutscene.
A lot of cutscenes.
I mean, look, I know that we don't want to have you drag out 4 people to play a multiplayer game anymore. It doesn't make an interesting conference. But show some goddamn actual gameplay in your trailer.
Bethesda showed quite a bit of gameplay this year, didn't they?
They did, but overall, even they fell into the... Because, I mean, even their Doom stuff was presentation gameplay. It wasn't, most of that stuff you're not going to see in the actual game. It's them showing cool shit on a pre-rendered level where what they're doing is all bought done.
Now, I'm not sure that really counts necessarily as a cutscene trailer because even if it's proof of concept and you won't see it in the final game, it's still there. It can be representative of what the game will be without being misleading.
It absolutely can be. It's just Nintendo had the most actual gameplay where you could actually see a person sitting there playing that game. I mean, ultimately, concept gameplay can get you in trouble. I mean, look at what happened with Sonic 06.
Watch Dogs
and...
Ubisoft in general.
Yeah.
So I have one more award category.
Okay.
This award category is called Fuck Yeah, No! So, this year's recipient of the Fuck Yeah, No! award is Commander Keen.
Okay.
I unironically like the aesthetics of the new Commander Keen.
Okay.
I like the Saturday morning cartoonish look.
Yep.
I like the fact that the new protagonists, Billy and Billy, have a very Dipper and Mabel Pine things going on. And then they showed it was a mobile game, a mobile gacha, I guess, style game, or a clicker or something. And my heart immediately sank, and I'm like, this is not going to be a 2D platformer, or even a corridor shooter, which I would have taken.
Or even a game.
Or even a game. Yeah, that's my Fuck Yeah No award.
I will absolutely bloody agree, but I will be touching more on that topic later.
All right. Those were our awards. What did you think of them? Let's go to voicemails. I put out the call for voicemails, and we're going to see exactly what was sent our way. So far, nothing. All right.
Moving on.
Voicemail section done. We'll revisit just in case people are late. So my first one, I have the Google Stadia showcase. And my only note is, can we not?
See, I didn't even really comment too much on Google Stadia here, other than to highlight the fact that there was way too much talk of streaming in general from everybody.
I agree. I have no issue at all with the idea that you set up a box that can stream to your home, and that I can play with a mobile device a game in my basement that's upstairs. Yep. Sure. And I don't even have an issue with streaming games for certain kinds of games for certain kinds of games, I guess. There are certain turn-based RPGs that would work okay on streaming.
Sure.
My issue is that I I'm worried about latency,
Yep.
input delay, and I'm already worried about this to an extent with digital content that's already on my devices that I could presumably back up, but I'm double worried about it for content that they can take away from me, and I have no backup of it at all.
Oh, look, it's Google. They've never shut down services they run. Oh, wait.
I'm surprised Feedburner's still alive. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Feedburner. I'm not even making that up. I haven't moved it off Feedburner yet. EA. It's in the game. I guess Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order looks cool, ? Every year with no new Mutant League football is a year that EA loses.
I've got pretty much nothing to talk about with EA because I cover Star Wars and the Microsoft one.
Very good. Xbox. Dave.
Look, Xbox did what I wanted without the showmanship. They showed me games. They still had... They focused on the games with only a little bit of chest thumping throughout. We did get some Xbox Scarlet spec porn.
There was definitely spec porn. I did masturbate a little bit to the specs.
But, I mean, Microsoft had the most games I cared about from any one conference. Should I list the games I'm interested in, or...
Yeah, I got a list, so go for it.
Okay. Spiritfarer.
Which one was that one?
That was the 2D kind of platformer where you're running a kind of like a ship with different spirit animals, and then you're going on shore, and you're having relationships and helping them move on to the afterlife.
Okay.
The aesthetic, I'm down with, and the idea, if they can nail it, I will love. But first glimpse is positive. Cyberpunk 2077, you've already said your reasons for not liking it.
No, but tell me why you like it. Well, don't let me stop you.
I like the ability to do what you want with your character's body, be it cybernization, staying biological, doing hacking through chips. I like the fact that you can make a person of any sex, color. The transgender is the least they can do after the stuff they pulled in the past. I get your complaints with the trailer. I do. I'm kind of able to look past that a little bit.
They can win me back if I can have a knife dick.
It is...
on my forehead. That shoots lasers.
Okay, look, you're asking for a little bit much. I'm pretty sure the ESRB would be all up in their face on that one.
Plus, the game you're looking for is called Saints Row.
There is that too. But when you want to talk about a company that knows how to do a quest system right, it's them. I mean, The Witcher, even the minor quests were written with loving care, had a point, and made you care about the situation versus the usual go kill 5 rats.
The Witcher 3 now coming to Switch.
And that is a good thing. Getting that out on every system, more players playing it, is a good thing, because The Witcher 3 is probably one of the best RPGs I've ever played.
Oh, despite my bitching about CD Projekt Red, I still do want to play The Witcher 3. And I kind of want to play Witcher 1 and 2 because they're in my Steam library taunting me.
God be with you.
Thank you, Father.
The Witcher 1...
Will you hear my confession?
Yeah. Witcher 1, Witcher 2, while they are good games, can take you hundreds of hours on their own each.
I'll be lying to Calamity Ganon, it's fine.
Ori, the new Ori game, I really want to play.
What's it called again?
I only put down Ori 1 second.
God damn it, I need full titles. I mentioned the entire Dark Crystal game in title, which is huge.
Ori and the Blind... Wait, no, that's going to be the first one.
That's the first
Ori
game.
and the Will of the Wisps.
That's the one.
The first Ori game was a amazing platformer. Frustrating at times, which was just fine. Frustrating but fair, which is fine with me. It was also beautiful. So the new one looks amazing to me. Star Wars The Fallen Order, I've got on my list. I'm hesitant because the The combat looks like they're doing the corridor shooter thing again.
You liked The Force Awakens, right?
I did.
I thought it was okay. There's definitely better character action games than the Force Awakens games.
Yep.
And there's way worse, too.
Yes. Fallen Order, I will probably end up giving a try. But here's the thing. I will want to try the game first before I buy it. This is not a game that I trust EA to give me a satisfying game in the long run. Outer Worlds. Thumbs up. Battletoads.
I have a note about Battletoads.
Fire away.
I'm excited, obviously, because Battletoads, and unlike the first Battletoads game, which fools you into thinking it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, but turns out to be one of the hardest, most brutal platformers ever, demanding a wide variety of skill sets to beat, I'm very much looking forward to this. Is it a little too cartoony? Is it maybe a little too cartoony? Because one thing I liked about the arcade Battletoads that we got to play through the Rare Collection is that it was so unabashedly violent. And I kind of want this to do the same thing. I kind of want to drill into the abdomen of a pigman.
I don't see that changing now. Even with the cartoony style, it still looks like they were doing head kicks and everything else.
Okay.
We didn't get much gameplay in that trailer. Though I must admit, the pause music being the start to that,
yeah,
I was like, oh yeah!
I had to explain to Kiki this was the pause theme in the original game.
So that was a great way to start that. Underground mining. It looked neat.
Of course, it's a mining game, so you're all up for this.
Psychonauts 2.
Yes, that's a big get for Microsoft. In fact, I forgot to include it in my surprises. They bought Double Fine.
I'm just glad that doesn't mean that it's not going to be on other systems.
I like Tim Schafer going like, okay, we'll work on whatever you want, man. What do you need, Halo? Gears of War?
Excel?
Excel? I would love to see Tim Schafer and Double Fine's take on Microsoft Excel.
And I love his comment after that. They're like, no, we just want you to make games. Like, oh, thank God, I was lying out my ass. See, Microsoft is back in its acquisition phase that they were in about 10 years ago. And we'll see. Thankfully, I still have a PC, so I win. That's all that matters. 12 minutes. I like the idea of what 12 minutes is trying to do. I have no idea if the game's going to be any good, but I like the idea of it.
This would make a very fascinating short film.
Sure.
As a game, I have, no interest in it, but I wish it well.
And that's fair enough. Like, this is a game that if it's $5 or $10 and gives me a half an hour kind of story to it, I would be fine.
If it's not $12 on the dot, I think they're missing out.
I don't have the actual name of this game, but it was the Bambi Simulator.
Oh yeah, the Bambi one.
Yes.
I don't have it either. It's the one where you were like psychic Bambi's
yes.
mom, and you could like kill things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Gears 5.
Yeah. I wrote Gears 5 will be fire, but you'd never know it after today. Like,
Lego Forza expansion.
I kind of like the fact that they built the city in Lego.
I do not give two shits about Forza, but this Lego game actually looked fun to play with. PSO2, Tales of Arise.
Yeah, it is going to be multi-platform. It's not an Xbox exclusive,
Yep.
but again, kudos for making a Tales game that looks really good. I do wonder if it's going to be multiplayer like past games were. It doesn't look like it's going to support that.
Who knows? I haven't played the last bunch of Tales games, but I've seen it played.
Mm-hmm.
And while my complaint is it does look still like it's being made on a PS3 system with some upgrades, they haven't been bad games by any means of the imagination. The stories have been creative. The battle systems have been tweaked here and there to make it interesting. It's just this one looks like the first Tales game to actually be made on a PS1.
The last Tales game I played was Tales of Vesperia. Me, Po, and Keeks 3-playered that bitch all the way up to the last dungeon, and then we're done. And I gotta tell you, there was a lot wrong with that game. the AI favored attacking player one, so player one had to be the tank and lure things into the other two's path. So player one, me, didn't really get to play, especially when you're playing on hard. The narrative and the visuals were just kind of meh. They did microtransactions right. You could farm in-game money, or you could pay a little bit and get 1 million gold.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Borderlands 3, not your thing, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Borderlands.
Elden Ring.
I have that here too. That's interesting. George R.R. Martin and From Software seems like a match made in heaven. Mm-hmm. This is absolutely a very good pairing, and
mainly because they both love killing off their main characters.
Yeah, dark, grim fantasy that's kind of very interpretive in its storytelling. Yeah, deal. Sign me up for some Elden Ring.
And the last thing I have for Microsoft is 2 Human being free.
Yeah, 2 Human is getting a free release. I played a bunch of 2 Human.
I finished it.
I didn't.
I finished it because I had a friend that had an Xbox 360 and a second copy. And we played through that game, and let me tell you, it was not good.
But it's not horrible either.
Oh, no.
There's worse games than 2 Human.
See, the story is okay. The battle system is horrendous.
You just tilt the stick repeatedly at the enemies. It wasn't that bad.
Until you get later in the game and you're dying 50 times to kill a basic enemy.
This sounds like a PepCac problem myself. You know, like I do have one note to add to your Xbox observations.
Yeah.
Xbox really wants you to embrace streaming, but really wants you to also buy hardware? Weird message.
Well, at least Microsoft was talking about, streaming it from your home.
Sure.
The streaming that they're talking about working with Sony on streaming and stuff is less of a Stadia sort of thing and more of their own in-house things. Like Microsoft has learned, both Microsoft and Sony has learned that streaming to the consoles, as much as they want to have control, doesn't work. They've both been there. They've done that. And they're like, this doesn't work. I mean, it might work in the future when everybody has 1,000 megabit internet and we're all wired in VR style. But right now, too many people in too many cities still struggle having a solid 10 megabit connection, which is Stadia's minimum, let alone the 25 recommended and the 100 for the best.
If we all get quantum computers and we're all living out humanity's final million years around the black hole generator on our Halo Ring world, and we have instant streaming for any game we want to play, I still would want it to be on my hardware. Forbes wrote an article about how one of the first victims of Microsoft's focus on streaming might be the Switch. And it was a really stupid article, and maybe don't read your video game articles on Forbes. That's all I really have to add about Forbes and streaming.
Forbes doesn't know technology, so yeah, I agree.
They don't know squat from that.
Okay, so Bethesda. Worst show of the group. And that's saying something, seeing as I'm not usually a fan of Ubisoft. The company, not necessarily the games.
The thing about Bethesda is that it was pretty dull as sin, but there was some hype stuff, like Doom Eternal. And Deathloop, which I'm surprised you're not all over since it's from the Dishonored folks.
Well, and that's just it. It's on my list.
Sure.
So, let me start this one off with Fallout 76.
You remember the scene in Gurren Lagann where Simon tells Kamina, "I got this, bro," and then Kamina just takes his hands off the controls and crosses his arms and completely trusts Simon to just handle it?
Yep.
Well, that's what I'm doing. Go ahead.
Okay, so... God, I can't believe we're coming back to Fallout 76 for a second here. So, anybody who listened to our 2018 podcast may remember that I absolutely hated the very idea of this game. Well, unfortunately, I fell into my Fallout lust when this game came out and had a friend who was willing to go through the game with me, so I picked it up at retail costs. If I'd waited a week, I would have gotten it for about $80 less than what I paid. Fuck me. So, we're back to 76 for a second year. And the opening of Bethesda's conference basically had a 3-minute apology video, followed by Tom coming out and doing a non-apology about 76, because, the smug fucker basically turns things into a joke that they're fucking up so badly. And then went into the future of 76. Now, most of us that have played it or have read any articles in the game in the past 8 months would say, what future, Tom? What future could you possibly give us? You've lied to us every word out of your mouth since this game was announced. New graphics engine, new physics, new enticing gameplay, and everything else the fucker said. We're going to keep it going. Cosmetics only in the store. We're going to give you a canvas bag. We're not going to leak your information when you ask for the new one, etc. I mean, this game has been a train wreck of global proportions. But now they're giving us NPCs and dialogue choices and ongoing quest lines and things that make, like, decision making that actually changes the way the story goes. And the only thing I have to say is, so you're giving us a Fallout game before you decide to make it online, you cocksuckers. Like, Bethesda had one fucking job with Fallout. Give us the same Fallout game with a new set of stories in a new area, and you're good. But they stripped all of that out, and now in a year after it's come out, you're going to give us back everything you should have given us in the first place? No. Fuck you. The non-apology and everything else started Bethesda's show off on the wrong foot. With the exception... Now, don't get me wrong, they've got some good games they announced here. I'm not going to argue that, but Fallout's Bethesda made. Made and published. All these other ones are studios that they publish for. So, Bethesda itself is sucking, but their games they're publishing for, good going.
Sure, they're kind of like Square Enix in that regard.
Exactly.
Except Square Enix developed games don't always blow terribly.
So yeah, there's Deathloop. This game looks awesome. I'm kind of sad it isn't another Dishonored game, but I don't know where they'd go with that without changing the setting and the characters. So maybe it's time to let that go for a few years and come back later. That's fine. Doom Eternal. I want this game right now. It looks amazing. I would have preferred to see more actual player gameplay versus pre-rendered sequence, making things look as awesome as it possibly could be kind of stuff. But that's fine. You're showing me the hook shot, the shotgun, and things. Oh, and we finally have a storyline trailer to it. I like that they're turning this into a heaven versus hell kind of thing, and how mankind, in the form of the robotic cocksucker from the first one, has decided that it's better to rule in hell than in heaven.
As a bisexual guy, I'm not liking your disparaging of cocksucking. Cocksucking is a fantastic activity with many benefits.
Sure. I'm not looking forward to this one, or rather, I should say, I've tried it and fuck Bethesda. Elder Scrolls Blades.
I was kind of looking forward to that one. It gave me an Azure Dreams vibe. Making your town, going into a dungeon.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Except it is a timer and microtransaction hell.
I'd like that. You've lost me.
Oh yeah, like, no, I fired the sucker up. To build a wall was 7 hours. A fucking section of a wall.
Now, okay, in fairness, if this is that type of game, and it's meant to be consumed in little chunks, you log in, you do that, and you leave, and you come back next day to see if it's built.
And that's just it. They're doing a very similar thing to what EA did with Dungeon
Keeper?
Dungeon Keeper. It feels that level of scummy. Because, yeah, they are just, oh, you want this one faster? Pay. Come on, pay.
Yeah, that's a scummy business practice.
So they managed to fuck up Elder Scroll Blades.
For a while now, I've had my eye on Elder Scrolls Online a little bit. Because there's a little bit about it that intrigues me. I read that it's very solo-friendly, and that it's very sandboxy despite being more of a... Yeah, it's a very sandboxy MMO.
You know, it's also solo-friendly? Final Fantasy 14.
Not really. You can't do the final dungeon solo. You can't get most of the final gear.
You can't do the dungeon solo in Elder Scrolls.
Sure. But I mean, I've been reading stuff about how, you can do a lot of the elite monsters by yourself with the right build and get the best gear with the right build. No, I'm just saying that I've been hearing less shit from this than I've been hearing from other Bethesda properties.
I own the game. I got it as part of one of my Humble Bundle things. Don't know if I'll ever touch it.
Does FF14 have that thing in it now where you can have NPCs help you through dungeons?
That's being introduced in the latest expansion.
Cool. All right. Any more on Bethesda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein.
Sorry. You looked at me like I was an idiot for forgetting Wolfenstein existed.
Shooting Nazis.
Always good. Don't be wrong.
Always important.
Fuck Nazis.
The fact that this game has the two twin sisters looking for Blazkowicz.
Yeah, huh?
You can play co-op.
They're his daughters, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm all for that.
Cool.
And we kind of have to talk about two other things for Bethesda.
Go ahead.
Commander Keen. We've talked about it, but it's got to be brought up again. I mean, like you, I like the new visual.
The aesthetics I have no problem with. In fact, I love them.
But this conference very much started the thing I didn't like about E3 in general this year, is the number of game series being turned into mobile games when they shouldn't be.
Man,
the focus on mobile games this year in some conferences sucked.
They could have hired Intercreates to make an awesome fucking Commander Keen 2D platformer, do for Commander Keen what they did for Blaster Master. But
or a better option, Way Forward.
Intercreates and Way Forward are good pals with each other, so I'm not gonna take too many sides on who's better.
Okay, fair
Let's
enough.
just say that they'd both be great.
Yeah. And this made me honestly laugh at the end of Bethesda's conference. Their game streaming technology. And the whole reason I was laughing about this is they want this to be added on to everybody else's to enhance their game streaming. And it was basically like oh God, please look at us. We want to be relevant.
If I already don't want to have any part of game streaming other than when I'm streaming a game to some device inside my home, which I have done before.
Yep.
I've streamed PS4 Diablo 3 to my Shield.
Yep.
My first era NVIDIA Shield portable, which is a very underrated little portable. I watched a lot of these streams on it, hooked up to a TV for that matter. For all my gripes with streaming, the last thing that will bring me on board is that it's being worked on by the wizards at Bethesda. If we want to glitch out reality, Bethesda can't handle making a non-buggy, single-player, non-streaming game.
Yep.
And now they want to fucking be in the background of streaming complex shit that they didn't even make?
Yep. Exactly.
This is going to turn in reality to .hack. Let's not let them do this, please.
Agreed. So that's Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda, I got nothing else.
Okay, next would be
Devolver Digital.
I didn't write down too much on Devolver Digital, actually.
Okay, I'll talk through this one.
I mean, there was one big thing that wasn't there.
Yeah, Metal Wolf Chaos.
Yeah.
They tweeted about it later, saying there's more news coming.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wrote down that it's entertaining as always, but not as hype as last year's. And of course, they're continuing the story, and they didn't have Metal Wolf Chaos, and they showed My Friend Pedro, which they showed last year already, and it doesn't really look too much different, even though there's probably a ton of development work done. So, that Enter the Gungeon House of the Gundead arcade co-op thing is awesome. If we see it at a movie theater we go to, I will play that with you, even though I suck at light gun games. It is apparently coming to a home version, and I imagine you'll just play that with your mouse,
Yeah.
which to me will be a lot more fun, but...
Probably.
Nina Struthers was rescued at the end by Nina Struthers? Shoutouts to Maria Zook, who plays Nina Struthers. I really hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Maria Zook is awesome, just an awesome human being, and plays this amazing character.
May their company never got bought out by another company.
I read an article about how Devolver likes to stay small, and it actually gave me a lot of motivation one day if I want to start a company, and I want to keep it small and focused on my mission and not overcome with capitalistic greed and expansion. So a lot of props to Devolver in general.
Yeah.
And Devolver, I'll always have fun at their show, and theirs is the only conference that I will rewatch. Because I still go back and rewatch the first two. I'll rewatch this one again, you know?
Well, I will admit, there is a certain video that I watch over and over again. That's the Microsoft Xbox One reveal to then the PlayStation 4 reveal. And just the crowd reactions and the ass whooping that Sony gave them.
Yeah, here's how you share a game. Here you go, thanks.
It's so much fun that year.
Granted, we're in an era where now it's Sony being insular and weird, and Microsoft is making all this outreach with Phil Spencer and Larry Hrib, Major Nelson, and like wanting to get Banjo into Smash, and I'm sure they'd be happy if Master Chief made it next, but we'll talk about that more when we get to Smash, won't we? The PC Gaming Show, which I fell asleep during, so go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to run through this really quick.
Cool.
Because I'm more the PC guy than you are these days.
For the most part, I tend to prefer my games on consoles when I can. Even if I have a PC that can play them, I just like my consoles.
And I will
especially
admit,
my Switch.
Console versions are great, but I love the PC for modability.
Sure.
So, like, when Outer Worlds comes out, I will be playing that on PC because they want to add in mod support.
Cool.
For it. Games that can be modded are amazing and keep the game going for a lot longer than a typical game.
I'll also say this. I tweeted out, mostly in jest, about how I was going to put out an ornery PC gaming observation before watching it, and it was that there has never been a generation where PC gaming was better than console gaming. And I did have two responses, one from Jude and one from Rowan. Both of whom have sent voicemails in the past, and maybe they sent some now? Hang on. Checking. God damn it. Why do we even do this show? They pointed out, that PC gaming is the superior option for, say, preserving your collection across generations of hardware, generally you'll still get to play yesteryear's games as opposed to potentially not having backwards compatibility in consoles, and just having their collections all centralized on a singular platform. So, okay, fair enough. You got me there. I was wrong. Silly.
There's also the fact that if you care about higher graphics, hang on. There are a number of games that have looked better on PC hardware. There's still the price to examine on that. The modability is another big thing. The fact that strategy games, like real-time strategy, still have not found a good engine to be played on a console. I tried a number of the ones. They've gone from PC to console, and it just doesn't work without them slowing things down and changing the fundamental ways of it working. Even Halo Wars, once you got later into missions, stopped working so well because it didn't have the ability to, select your entire freaking army and go get them kind of stuff. It really depends on what the sort of game is.
I have difficulty believing in this era of Witcher 3 on the Switch that you can't have real-time strategy games on consoles that have ports for a mouse and a keyboard. I have very difficult time believing that it wouldn't be possible. Maybe it hasn't found purchase on consoles yet.
That's just it. I'm not saying it's not possible, because obviously it is.
Sure.
No one's pulled it off yet.
Sure. But I mean, the thing about one of the reasons PC gamers irk me, present company accepted, sometimes, is that they like there's always this focus on they look much better, the hardware is technically better. And I'm like, cool. I'll be playing my Switch exclusives and my Super Nintendo exclusives and my whatever generation where the best games were on console, and even all the PC game devs secretly wanted to be on console anyway. That said, obviously there are some games I have on my own Steam library that I love and that I'll play on PC. So play the games on the platform you love, but fuck PC Gamer magazine.
I think we can all agree with that.
Excellent.
So the games that I'm most am looking forward to on PC that haven't already been introduced in other conferences, there's Cris Tales. It's a platformer.
Cool.
Looks cute. Pistol Whip. It's a VR game.
Uh-huh.
It kind of reminds me of the VR shooter that I was always playing.
Super Hot,
yeah. Except this is an on-rails John Wick style game.
Cool.
So your character's always moving, and you're doing John Wick style shooting and everything else for score and everything else through a level. You're dodging and everything else. Totally up my alley when it comes to VR games. I even read a couple people saying, I've been looking for a game that would actually get me to buy a VR system. And this was really popular among groups that hadn't gotten into VR yet. So I'm all for new VR games that bring more people in. Deathloop, already mentioned. Val Ferris. How do I explain this game?
What's it about?
The trailer's running through my mind right now, but I'm drawing a blank. Too many games.
Is it a Ferris wheel?
No. Well, I'm looking this up a little more. Oh, Val Ferris. That was that heavy metal side-scroller game.
Beat 'em up platformer or what?
Shooter.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, Val Ferris looks pretty good. For those of you who can't see us, Dave just showed me the trailer, and I'm like, yeah, wow.
Metal as hell.
Maybe if that had come up when I was dozing off, I would have woken up immediately.
Yes. Now, this was from Devolver Digital's one, but Fall Guys.
Yeah, a Battle Royale obstacle course. Now,
my only worry on this is whether it's going to be shared between each system. Because, for a 100-player Battle Royale MXC game...
It really is an MXC game.
It is. You gotta have your 100 players. So I can see this game dropping off after a few years, which would be sad for what I'm seeing. So I'm in for Fall Guys. Baldur's Gate 3. The fact that of the studios being made by, I totally believe this game is going to rock. But we've gotten a teaser trailer, so there's not too much I can talk to here. Looking forward to.
Awesome.
Next is Carrion.
Yeah, they showed that during the Volvers as well.
Yes.
Reverse horror where you're a blood monster and you just kind of murder people in 2D.
Yeah, I'm all for this.
Plus, they had the carrier monster talk about it.
I know, it was
like,
cool.
Yeah, I'm in this game. It's a pretty good game,
I know, they're great. And, of course, Metal Wolf Chaos XD, but that didn't show up.
Oh, I was about to be like, whoa, they showed it at the PC game thing?
No. It was mentioned, but nothing was shown, obviously. So that's it for PC, specifically to the PC conference. There were a lot of games that were mentioned there that I carry on in other areas.
Yeah.
Next, we're on to Ubisoft.
It's funny that Just Dance 2020 is also getting released on Wii, in addition to Switch. That's just hilarious. That's just so cute. There's a new Watch Dogs mentioned.
Was it Wii or Wii U?
It's coming out on Switch and Wii.
Not Wii U.
Not Wii U. Although Wii U, a Wii game is a Wii U game by extension, right?
Yes.
Tell me a bit more about that new Watch Dogs. What's it called again? Watch Dogs
Legion.
Now, yeah. Tell me about this grandma I kept hearing about.
Okay.
I didn't watch this.
So, Legion, its setting is rather interesting. We're talking, like 1982 style writing right here. London is basically controlled by the government and by the police. You can be arrested for whatever they want. It is a very dystopian future of, like, 2020 kind of thing. And you play as anybody, pretty much. You have your group, and if like, for the next mission, if you need somebody who's really good at hacking, you can start looking at people's, like, profile kind of thing. And if you find somebody who's good at hacking, you can then try and bring them into the organization and then play as them for that. In the one that they were showing, they actually showed some gameplay here, which was neat. You started off as this gentleman trying to actually bring this young teen into the organization, but the young teen gets himself in trouble with the police right off the bat. So your character actually goes in there and beats up the cop from taking him into custody, and then tries to get away and ends up dying. And then it shifts, because you're all kind of hooked into a resistance network kind of thing. Think of like a Jarvis-style AI who's working with all of you. And so it moves on and tells the granny, the next character you're playing, that, yeah, we lost Simon. We need you to go and do X, Y, Z. And so Granny goes in and actually uses a robot to infiltrate the police station, take down an actual guard, actually, like, freaking face huggers the guy and gets him. And then opens up this one door and she goes in there. I mean, they show her getting in, hacking the system with the robot, getting out, fucking putting supposed to be a gun in the guy's back and then just tasering him. I like the idea of what they're promising in Watch Dogs Legion. I just don't think it's possible. Because they're talking, millions of NPCs in London. And other than the police, the military, and the government, you can have any of them join you. That means millions of different profiles. Supposedly, when you bring a person in, you get kind of like an origin story, little mini thing to them. I think they're biting off way more than they can chew. And I think that when they release it, it's not going to be as rich as they promise in the Watch Dogs style.
That is still very ambitious, though.
It's ambitious.
It's neat to think about, admittedly.
And they've been ambitious for each one of their Watch Dog games. I just think they bite off more than they can chew. The text I actually have on here is, looks good for the multiple agents angle, millions of individual characters that can be brought in. I am calling bullshit, not going to happen in the end. I don't think any companies outside of classic BioWare would do that much effort to have that many different profiles and that much character uniqueness, if you will. They showed Brawlhalla again.
Yeah.
Which is basically Ghetto Smash Brothers.
It's Smash. I wouldn't call it Ghetto Smash.
I would.
There's probably a lot more effort behind the battle system of that than Smash Brothers gets.
Maybe. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna minimize this in the corner while I listen to it while I do other stuff, because I just didn't care.
Gotcha.
I'm really surprised For Honor is still a thing. They're still releasing new content for it, and it's still going.
Yeah, it's a fighting game, man. Kind of. There's real strategy about it. I'm not sure. I think I edited a script for Novril, and I might have recorded one, too. I don't even remember. That's about For Honor.
Huh.
So.
There were way too many Rainbow Six games. Well, there was like 3 or 4 that are being worked on right now, including one which is a quarantine one, which looks like zombies.
Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Parappa the Rapper.
Since Tom Clancy died, they are just whoring out this franchise.
Now
no new Splinter Cell.
You said something very interesting right there. Tom Clancy died?
Yeah.
But how did anyone find him in his very secure home on the Eastern Seaboard?
Division 2 continues to borderline actually talk about current political issues, but doesn't. And, oh, yeah. With this one, now every online platform has a goddamn online subscription for their games. Ubisoft just announced, have access to our entire library for $15 a month. Everybody seems to have this now.
Capitalism.
Even Square's looking into that.
Capitalism.
That ends it for Ubisoft because I don't justify Just Dance and stuff like that.
You don't justify.
I don't.
You don't justify Just Dance, but you will play Harvest Moon and State of Decay and all this other garbage.
Don't insult me with State of Decay.
I will. That game blows.
Yes, it does.
Square Enix. I am so sold on Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I talked about that a lot during the Game of the Show award. So
I am also sold. I love the new look for Tifa.
Yeah, Tifa's new outfit is amazing. It keeps its old essence while being a lot more sensible and practical. And I still secretly hope that instead of Eris dying, Cloud dies and Tifa and Eris become a couple. Even though I don't even hate Cloud anymore. He is very kissable in this game.
I mean, I love the fact that she actually has 2 shirts.
Yeah.
Stability and hotness.
Yeah, stability, hotness.
I kind of hope that she has like shorts or something underneath her skirt.
I'm pretty sure she's got some modesty shorts going.
Because I don't need the panty shots.
Yeah, Tifa's hot. I also don't need the panty shots. But yeah,
especially seeing as they kept the skirt just as short as it used to be.
Hey, can we talk about the fact that even though Advent Children is garbage and I shouldn't give a shit about this, Tifa jobbed to that stupid Sephiroth wannabe in that fucking movie? Fuck that guy.
Okay, look.
Fuck Square for making Tifa job to that guy.
I actually agree with you, but in the storyline, that guy is more powerful than her.
No, fuck that. Fuck that guy. Fuck you for saying that. This was... And shout-outs to my buddy Chris Weston, great author. Go read his stuff. He pointed out that this was a very good showing for Akitoshi Kawazu. Last Remnant Remastered, the Romancing Saga games, and Saga Scarlet Grace. Mm-hmm. All had a showcase.
I already mentioned Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Yep.
I like how it's looking, and now that you don't have to have 4 Game Boy systems to actually play it, maybe it's worth actually getting back to.
I don't think so.
Of course you don't. Maybe not the original Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, but some of the later ones actually were good games in their own right.
I'll take your word for that.
I know you will. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Fuck this game.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about it.
There's a War of the Ages or whatever it's called. A tactics game for it.
It's worse than a gacha game.
Yeah, fuck that game. Great sprite work, though.
Yes. Dragon Quest Builders 2, I like part 1. The fact that 2 is larger and less of a chapter-based game, I'm going to love. Really, Dragon Quest Builders 2 is Minecraft with a purpose.
Sure.
Which is a good thing.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Give Minecraft, just like that Minecraft Dungeons game, that actually
Yes.
might be the only Minecraft game I play seriously, you know, like...
I like all of the Diablo-esque clones that are coming out.
Quite a lot of them.
Yes. Code Vein.
Remind me of that one again?
Very much like that one you want for Switch. Astral
Chain?
Yeah. Code Vein was kind of like it.
Okay.
It looks neat. It's still far away, so I mention it here.
Mm.
You might want to check out a trailer afterward.
Cool.
I mention Avengers here, not in a good way.
Yeah, me neither.
Avengers! I have on here, show fucking gameplay.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
If this is what they were going to do, they should have led with this game. So that it can be just a bad taste in our mouths as we get to the good stuff and end with Final Fantasy VII.
Exactly. I mean, the characters look bad.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order, a Switch exclusive, looks more hype than this shit.
And I mention that later.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, the character models look bad, and they've already said, we don't care what you think, we're keeping them.
Yeah, cool. Great work. Good job, Crystal Dynamics.
And I'm sad, because Crystal Dynamics tends to be a good studio.
Are they?
Yeah.
Name 2 good things they've done.
Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver.
Okay. I should have said 3 because you would have never found the third one.
Soul Reaver 2.
No.
Legacy of Kain 2.
No, those all are terrible. There are only 2 good Legacy of Kain games, and you mentioned them.
Damn it. Crystal Dynamics tends to have some good ideas around games.
Sure. I would love to have seen some of them for Avengers because I still don't know how it plays. And during part of it, they're talking about multiplayer bosses, and I'm like, is this an MMO question mark? Because now I'm extra confused about what kind of game this is.
And that's just it, with showing no gameplay. Like, the idea behind it, the storyline, I kind of want a novel for it.
Sure.
Because I don't want to play this game. The idea behind the game kind of intrigues me, but the game looks like ass. At least the character models do. And you wasted like 20 minutes of time on nothing.
While fucking patsies cheered for you the whole time.
Exactly.
Fuck those guys.
Also.
That also happened back in Bethesda.
Yeah. Well, I think Bethesda's cheering came from, holy fuck, you're actually releasing a complete game.
Or paid Bethesda people.
Yeah.
Here's a check. Cheer for us.
I also have a comment on Avengers. Stop with the exclusive console content. Because there's going to be content that's only available to Sony players. This has got to stop. You want to do cosmetics that are exclusive to a console? Fine. But not storyline content, not missions. Stop. I mean, the first thing that Bungie did when they got out of Activision's pocket and became their own studio again is they told Sony to go fuck themselves, and that there's all the exclusive content that we made for you is going to be available very soon for everybody else. The moment our contract's up with you, everybody gets everything.
So how do you feel about Final Fantasy VII Remake being a timed exclusive for PlayStation 4?
I don't like it. I think that sort of stuff has to start to stop. Release your game on all the systems, whatever system the people want to play it on, they'll get it.
What about content that's specifically about the IPs that only that system owner holds? Like the PSO2 content that's Breath of the Wild.
See, that one I'm a little bit less harsh on, because that does include some licensing stuff. And as long as, kind of like in Soul Reaver 2, you had Darth Vader, you had Link, and you had whoever the fuck was for Sony, everybody got something. It still kind of sucks, but you can still see the person. It sucks you can't get it, because really, what does it hurt if an Xbox player wears a Link costume?
Capitalism.
Yeah. Well, we got one more to cover and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Nintendo. As I said, I mean, I thought Nintendo was the second best.
Yeah. I think they were the best, but I'm totally okay with second best as well. I watched a lot of reactions to this presentation, and a lot of people saw Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, and they're like, sweet, what can they do to top this? They can't possibly... And then the Breath of the Wild 2 teaser happened.
So I broke mine down into the awesome, the okay, and the meh.
Okay. Let's... you know what? You can dictate this one. Let's...
You sure? Because I've been dictating a lot.
Normally, Dave, I talk way too much. Just go for it.
Okay. So, the awesome. Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel.
Okay, so that was Ganondorf, right?
I got some theories on this one. And yeah, I mean, some of it comes from reactions, some talk with other people, but...
Here to present his theories on Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is...
What if Ganondorf was the original hero? And here's the logic around this line of thinking.
Okay.
Ganondorf, impaled down there, has the red hair in a very specific style that matches the heroes from the tapestry.
Okay.
And that doesn't look like a Link-style persona on the tapestry. That looks Ganon.
Now, where in the timeline does Breath of the Wild take place?
Way back in the beginning.
Way back in the beginning? Because it can't.
Actually, 1 second.
It can't be back in the beginning because Ganon wasn't back in the beginning.
Breath of the Wild
I think it's at the very end.
Timeline. Or actually, no. Zelda timeline. Right.
I think it's at the end, Dave, because the first game is Skyward Sword.
Twilight Princess comes after it.
No, it
Yes,
doesn't.
it does. Yes, it does.
On what planet? There are 3 forks to the timeline.
Okay, Skyward Sword, Minish Cap.
While you're looking up Zelda...
Yeah, no, keep talking, please.
While you're talking about Breath of the Wild stuff, I'm finally playing Breath of the Wild in earnest, in hard mode.
About fucking time.
In master mode, I should say. God, that's a great game. I should have played it before. Every single person complaining about weapon durability is wrong.
Well, I actually happen to agree with you on that.
Every person who's like, man, the weapons need to be more durable. I'm not a big fan of the 3D Zelda combat systems.
Yep, you said that before.
In this setting, and with the thrill of having to always be ready with weaponry or improvised weaponry, it's amazing. And it would not be the same if your weapons just didn't break.
Breath of the Wild gets official placement on the Zelda timeline. But Nintendo's provided an answer, sort of. Is way at the end.
Yeah.
But it's not connected to the rest of the timeline. In other words, shenanigans.
Here's what I've been reading, okay? It can't be at the beginning because Skyward Sword is the first one because there's no Ganon in that. It's Demise. And Breath of the Wild is at the end of, at the very least, the Hero Fails timeline, because if you take a good long look at the Breath of the Wild map and compare it to the Zelda 2 map, it's very similar.
There's also the discussion that people think are starting to think that it is at the end, but it's literally a convergence of all 3 timelines.
Which is weird.
Well, not really, because in a way, their idea of what the Zelda heroes did was kind of a good idea, where they were having timelines start to flow into each other. The idea that all 3 timelines may have, through a time shenanigan, come back together. Because, I mean, look at, really, the game doesn't fit at the end of any of the individual 3 timelines because of the races that are still around.
They could have come back into prominence.
But that's just it. If you do a merger of the 3 timelines again, you now have the races you need.
That's fair.
In their proper placements to be part of Hyrule again.
That's fair.
Even the fact that Hyrule is now basically Hyrule in the center with 4 zones, if you will, of the different races makes it kind of like a world-shattering conglomeration again.
That would explain some disparities, like how the world map mostly resembles Zelda 2, but there are a couple things in the wrong place, like Death Mountain and the Lost Woods. Breath of the Wild's great, by the way. Bethesda wishes it could make a game like this.
It
honestly.
does.
But yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, I'm pretty sure that maybe it's Ganondorf, maybe he was the first hero, maybe we're going to get that big plot twist. I am kind of glad we're revisiting the same Hyrule, and it's a true sequel, because my thing playing through Breath of the Wild is, this is fantastic. I still wish there was a deep underworld too. And now that's probably what they're going to do, right? They explored the underworld, Hyrule Castle's being lifted. It's going to be the old map, but with those extra segments, or a flying continent or something.
I'm hoping that we're in an entirely different part of Hyrule.
You don't want any of the old map there?
I mean, have it there that you go back and it's like a second zone you can go to and do stuff in? Like, okay, you're going to laugh at me because you always do when I do this.
Okay, do it.
But Hyrule's already been through one apocalypse.
Ha ha ha!
The fact that the castle rises up and everything else, maybe we're in for another time jump. Maybe we're in for another 100-year jump.
A time crash?
It doesn't have to be a time crash. Just, Link was stuck in stasis for 100 years. Everything has risen. Maybe they get absorbed by the darkness for 100 years and they only come out at the end.
And motorcycles and spaceships.
No, I wasn't even pissed off the motorcycle stuff. I don't care. It was an extra. But keep it still based in normal stuff.
Normal stuff, these elf people and their giant machine dungeons that fight the evil cloud.
I would like more regular dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't mind the 4 boss dungeons, but let's get a few more regular, few less puzzle ones would be nice.
You don't want 180 bazillion shrines all over the land?
I don't.
Where Carlos uses physics shenanigans to not solve them the way they're supposed to.
And that's fine. I like the fact that you can break a bunch of those puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
That is fine with me.
I am the monk in the shrine. What did you do
yeah,
to get
exactly.
here? What did you do? Remember we were playing Trine and you had to carefully maneuver that piece out and I just kept banging it and let the physics engine do the work for me?
Exactly. So, I'm okay if it's Hyrule again, but if it's going to be Hyrule again, some things have to have changed. If it's just the same map, Breath of the Wild is still recent enough for me that might be a little bit boring. That's my problem with it being still in Hyrule. If they do an underground thing, like an underworld or a dark world, that would be neat. You do a dark world to go with the light world, I'm now okay traversing the same areas again. I still want some changes, which is why I'd be okay with another 100-year jump kind of thing. Or 20 years or something. Like, give me something to have changed up the land. Maybe Hyrule Rising caused an earthquake and now things are different. It's just, don't recycle the same map and give it to me as another game.
It's Hyrule, but there's an ice rink here now.
Exactly.
I think it looks cool. There was a lot of work put into the first one. Reuse a little bit of it. Capcom did it with the Morgan sprite, so why not, right?
No, we do not encourage that. Zelda Link's Awakening.
Yeah, I love Link's Awakening. Played that game through a good 5 or 6 times over 2 different Game Boy systems, the original and the Game Boy Color. Such a good game. We know some more about the mechanics. Before, you had to assign your sword and shield to buttons just like any other item. Now there seems to be a dedicated sword and shield button and 2 for other items, including the feather, which I thought should have had its own button, but whatever. The feather lets you jump, basically.
Yeah. So, looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Daemon Ex Machina.
Yeah, I played the demo in the cool little mech game, to be honest.
I never got to the demo, unfortunately. It was removed.
It gave me a Mech Warrior Light on Switch vibe, and that's fine by me.
Next one, I actually don't know if you'll want to play it again or not. Panzer Dragoon.
Well, the one I played extensively was Orta on the original Xbox. Right. This is either a reimagining or a sequel to the original Panzer Dragoon, which I have not played, on Saturn.
I heard this was a redo of the original Panzer Dragoon game.
Yeah, on Saturn. The original Panzer Dragoon games were all on Saturn.
Yep.
The only one that wasn't was Orta, which was on Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah, but looking good. I love me some Panzer Dragoons, so...
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
The Black Order. Not fronting. Really actually looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Especially since I saw the extended demo on Treehouse. The presentation of this game is fantastic.
Lots of different characters.
Lots of different characters.
Up. Abilities.
A very good comic book presentation to this game. Easily the better looking Marvel game of the 2 major ones that were at this E3.
Yeah.
And I am actually really looking forward to Ultimate Alliance 3.
The last one I've got on my awesome category is the new Fire Emblem game. I'm not much for the Fire Emblem games, but this new one looks good.
I like the idea that all the characters went to school together. So now they're on opposing sides and the drama that could create.
Yep.
I'm not a big Fire Emblem guy. Mm-hmm. My biggest exposure to it is through Smash Brothers.
Yep.
But, it looks like a decent enough Fire Emblem game.
Yeah.
I hope it's not as,
controversial?
Phobic as past entries.
Yes.
One thing I appreciate about that new Animal Crossing Island Getaway or whatever it's called, is the fact that all the hairstyles and clothing are gender neutral, which is really cool. They also took out Mr. Resetti. Good. I hope he's dead. Not that I'm going to play it, because I kind of... there was one time I was playing an Animal Crossing game. It was like the second or third one I played in my life, and then I realized, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And then I never touched Animal Crossing again.
See, I've got Animal Crossing under my bad category.
Sure.
Actually, sorry. Not bad. Meh.
More power to people who love it.
Exactly. We then get into my okay category, which there's only one game here.
Yeah.
And that is Dark Crystal.
Yeah. What's the full title of that shit again? The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance Tactics. When I saw that, I was like, the Dark Crystal?
Yeah.
Dave must be losing his mind.
Absolutely, seeing as the Netflix show comes out soon.
They had a Netflix logo on that trailer, too.
Waiting to see more on the tactics game. I don't know if I'll play it, because I'm not much in the tactics games these days. But still, the fact that the Dark Crystal's getting that much recognition is awesome.
Sure, it's neat. And look, I love the Jim Henson Muppets, so giddy up. I mentioned, what's that game called? Empire of Sin, which was shown in this, but it's not really a Switch exclusive. Mm-hmm. And Trials of Mana, aka Seiken Densetsu 3, finally getting an official Western release, which came out of nowhere. And that includes both the classic version, which you can already get on the Nintendo eShop, and the new 3D version, which at the very least looks better than the 3D Secret of Mana, which was a disappointment.
Yeah. We then get into my games I was met on for Nintendo.
Yeah, you mentioned Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion. I have never been into Luigi's Mansion, so this game was kind of like, that's nice. I hope you have a good time. I saw the extended demo on Treehouse. It's not for me, but there's a lot of creativity to this big hotel Luigi's exploring. Yeah. It's kind of neat. I'm sure Luigi's Mansion fans are going to be very happy with this. Absolutely. The Resident Evil ports. 5 and 6. Yeah. They really should have just skipped 6 and just done 5. 6 isn't terrible. It's not good. It's kind of Gears of War. Oh, and the Smash DLC, which I just met on completely. Well, we can talk about that a little bit. The Dragon Quest hero is neat because he has multiple skins for multiple different versions of the hero, including Erdrick. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And the closest to Goku you're going to get in this game, so... Well, don't want Goku in the first place. Me neither. Look, the reason why I'm met on it is because I only ever play it with you and the group. Mm-hmm. I don't own a copy myself, and I don't want to. So I'm just kind of met on it. I do think Banjo's a nice surprise. It is neat. I do realize Microsoft is a Nintendo third party. This isn't the first time they've released games on Nintendo hardware, and they've always kept their back catalog of banjo-kazooie games up. But neither company needed to do this, and they did. Yeah. And Banjo and Kazooie look really good in this. I like the way they appear to play, too. So, plus this opens up Master Chief in Smash. So, I'm all game. It's cool to see. I didn't have this on my awesome okay or meh list, but I was surprised that they didn't market the Pokemon Sword and Shield games more. I mean, this is a big game, and other than pissing off a great deal of the fan base by saying that you're not going to be able to catch all 800 of the Pokemon in the game. We're going to talk about that in a moment, because fans are being stupid. Yes, they are. It's just... Keep in mind, they had a Pokemon Direct before E3, like almost immediately before E3, that we actually didn't catch as part of our pre-E3 stuff. So there was a lot revealed there. Okay, so maybe that's why. That's where they revealed stuff like Dynamaxing and all that. Okay. Here's the thing about Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's definitely Pokemon Breath of the Wild, which is a good look for it, honestly, to have these big open areas with Pokemon roaming about. Here's the thing about not having all the Pokemon. There's a hashtag going on, a Japanese hashtag, where some American guy tweeted about how it takes 5 minutes to render a Pokemon. And this hashtag was 5-minute renders. And it shows people trying to make a Pokemon in 5 minutes and their results. So obviously it takes more work. Of course it does. Even though the animations for Pokemon are usually they do a generic attack animation and the effect happens, the fact of the matter is it still takes a lot of work to animate the rigs, their idle stances, their other details. The fact that you can actually choose a character to be beside you on the map.
Like, what RPG has as many monsters as there are Pokemon? Even, there are going to be over 1,000 Pokemon, according to Nintendo. Let's say there are only 150 in this game, in the Galar region. There will be more. There'll probably be around 300. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, 150. Yeah. Same number as the original game. 151, sorry. That's more monsters than in some RPGs. In some Final Fantasy games don't have 151 monsters.
Not without doing resprites.
Yeah, exactly. And so, no, man, the fact that not all the Pokemon are there, I get it. We all have some favorites. I certainly have some favorites. But they want to keep... They want to have a different focus this time around. People don't need to be getting their fucking panties in a jimmy over this shit. It's dumb.
Agreed.
The complaints are stupid. I kind of get the complaints about them not having Mega Evolutions, because Mega Evolutions are fucking cool, and there are some Pokemon that are only useful because of it, Beedrill. And I don't like that they're taking out Z-moves, because Z-moves are also cool, and they add a certain strategic layer as to which Z-move you're going to use in the fight. You only get one. I don't like that those are being taken out. I will admit, I think that's a misstep. But, fucking... people need to grow up over this.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play this game just for the wide open area thing. I know they're still going to have IVs and EVs and other things I don't like, but just the experience of it might be nice.
Like, being transparent, I'm going to buy this game.
Sure, which one? Sword or Shield?
I haven't decided on that yet.
Okay. What starter?
I haven't even decided on that.
Okay, that you're going to need to. We're going to need to have a starter chosen by the end of this podcast. The correct answer is they're all cool.
Exactly.
I like the bunny, but I always like the fire type. There has never been a single starter fire type, except maybe the giant boar, that I've disliked. And I still kind of also like the giant boar. So, even though 3 of them were firefighting, I still like the fire types.
I know. So that's pretty much it for the conferences, but I do have a couple other things. I gotta bring up Shenmue 3 here. Now, you and I have had on previous podcasts talked about the Epic Store. People being babies about games going exclusively to Epic versus Steam. Mm-hmm. However, Shenmue 3 is a game that I've got to highlight how much bullshit this is.
Go ahead.
So, Shenmue 3 was crowdfunded, rather.
Crowdfunded, yes.
Not cloud-funded.
It wasn't funded by Cloud Strife. Yeah. He's reading a newspaper Midgar. Oh, fuck. I'm so glad I put my money towards Shenmue 3.
Yeah, I forgot to do it. Damn it. So, yeah, it was no publisher would pick it up, and it was crowdfunded. Now, it was crowdfunded on the base that it was going to come to Steam, PS4, Xbox One. So I am not cool with now all of a sudden saying that they have made a partnership with Epic Games and made it a Epic Game Store exclusive. Not when you crowdfunded on specific platforms and specifically Steam. And that they're saying no refunds. A game in production deciding to go Epic exclusive, I've got no problem with that. But you don't bait and switch. You can do the argument that, yes, PC users can still make an Epic Store account and claim their key. But not everybody wants to support the Epic Store. So I don't think it's cool that the developer has just said, no refunds, we're going this way, we're taking extra money, after it's already been crowdfunded and complete and coming out soon, that, yeah, we've taken money from Epic and it's now Epic exclusive. I don't think that's cool. You're going to need to give some words here for the audience.
I was waiting for you to finish.
I'm done.
You're done? Okay. It's just on PC! Just download the Epic launcher! Just get the software! It's not... They did not put it on PC. Just download the launcher! Make an Epic user!
Maybe.
Who cares?
Maybe you literally don't want to support Epic.
When you crowdfund something, there are no guarantees. That's part of the deal. And it should be that way because in this awful capitalistic nightmare we live in, until crowdfunding came along, only rich people did this. And crowdfunding is you're taking a chance. And the chance is it might not end up the way that you think it will or that they even say it will during the pledges. And in the end, this ended up not being on the same storefront. So boo-hoo, download the launcher. It's not even a different physical platform. That's my opinion anyway. But it doesn't matter. Oh my god. I don't even want to play Shenmue 3, so I don't know why I'm getting so into this. I feel like, just like with every other Epic exclusive, this is being blown way out of proportion. But you're the one who's going to play the game, and you're more of the PC gamer than I am, so I think that's more your call to make.
I'm not going to play it, but I understand where people are coming from on this one. I do.
Okay, maybe people have feedback on how we each felt about that. Folks, this is Jaboy Carlos.
Your girl Keeks.
And Po.
And for Two Fat Guys Talk, a podcast that I am a part of, I wanted to get your impressions of the PSO2 surprise reveal at the Xbox showcase, something nobody was expecting. Certainly not anyone who has noticed that in the past 7 years, PSO2 has not come into the West until now. Now, both of you play the game. What are your thoughts and feelings on this reveal?
Yeah, it's more like, it's definite surprise. It's like, OMG, I didn't think they'd actually do this. They actually did it. You madmen actually did it. It's also mixed with a bit of, well, it's about fucking time. Too bad it only came like 7 years after. Oh, gee, I hope you don't shaft us, Sega.
I was a bit more torn. At first, I got super excited as though, well, I'm sure a lot of people have. However, I'm actually kind of torn about the news because it says there, you know, it's going to have all content and everything. That's cool and all. But the way that they have the servers set up as is in the Japanese servers, for example, they have the cloud and the PS4 and the PS Vita and the PC players. So we can all play with each other. That's not a problem. There's definitely lag notice, especially if you're playing PC and someone's on the Vita. It's you can tell basically they're on the Vita. Now, they have their own lobbies basically. So, for example, the PC players can go to any of the lobbies, but the Vita players can only go to the Vita lobbies and stuff like that.
Same with the Switch people.
Yes. So, now my question is, how are they going to handle the players that are currently in the Japanese servers? Like, that's the thing I don't know. Are they going to actually seek me out, for example, and be like, oh, I thought about that, and I'm like, well, maybe it's because, you know, my name is in English or whatever, but there are Japanese players that do have English names and stuff like that as well. So I don't know how they're really going to differentiate that, if they even are. I know I was talking to some friends and whatever, and they said, you know, maybe they'll just offer to switch over the account, and then you can have an English account in a US server, whatever the hell they're doing. But if they don't, or let's just say they even do a whole IP ban, which they could do, that would be totally awful considering I've been playing for this long. I've contributed money towards the game.
Yeah, especially for those who actually have premium. Yeah, Japan, you really want to shaft your English players who actually went through all the efforts to actually buy things with real money.
Well, it's not. Let's not blame Japan here. Let's blame Sega and Sonic Team, right? But
Sonic Team has nothing to do with this game.
Oh, good. I guess it probably would run on twine and prayer if they had something to do with this game. But I mean, no, it's not fair to say it's Japan's fault. It's Sega is in a unique situation. Didn't they try to ban English players in the past? Tell me a little bit about that.
So, a couple years ago, there was a huge DDoS attack. So they automatically assumed it was English players. I actually don't know if it was. I think it was actually a Japanese player, but I don't actually know. So what they did is they did do a huge IP ban for anyone outside of Japan. And actually, they do have 2 other servers that are currently IP banned as well, which is the Southeast Asia server and the China server. We don't even interact with those servers.
Well, actually, I think the Southeast Asia server is just completely gone altogether.
So that's another concern, because I'm like, well, what if they do make this American server and then they do another IP ban? Let me go back on topic for a sec here. So during that first IP ban, it was a good month. I just could not log in. Just couldn't do it. I don't know how much of I should actually say what I did.
Well, we don't need to get into the specifics of how you're able to play. You can simply, I would simply say that, it was difficult to finally get back on board, maybe.
Yeah, it was. And when I finally did, it's as though they just kind of, it's kind of weird, because, like, initially, the community, you could tell that a bunch of Japanese players did not like the fact there was English players on there. You could tell, like, they would say stuff in Japanese, and we can use, like, a little, like, I would just go to copy their text and go to Google and see what they said, and it's like, oh, geez, they did not like us. However, after that DDoS attack, the majority of players are like, these ones obviously stayed because they liked the game enough, so there wasn't really anything after that, which is why we've been playing for so long. I guess overall, I'm mixed. I'm happy that we're finally getting something to the West, because a lot of people don't want to jump through hoops, and they don't want a fan translation and stuff like that. And I get that. I super get that. However, I am just concerned that I'm going to lose everything, which I don't want to happen, just because of a way to kind of kick out players. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense.
Are you worried that this will be an attempt to remove Western players from Japanese servers, and that it will lead to segregation and potentially Western players who are on Japanese servers losing their stuff, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm concerned about. I'm
Sure.
really... There's that scenario. There's the other scenario where literally nothing's going to happen, and there'll just be Western lobbies and Japanese lobbies, kind of like in PSO1. If you remember, do you remember how, like, there was, like, the...
there was a Vega.
The US lobby was Vega, and there was some European lobbies and stuff like that, because that's where the lobbies are based. So they might just completely do a change for that, especially since they're saying spring of 2020. So for all we know, that's what they're planning. They're like, okay, you know what, let's go back to basics. Let's have separate ships with separate lobbies and stuff like that. So they could just be doing that.
In PSO1, your characters were not tied to a server. You could go to different servers with one character.
Correct.
Is this the case in PSO2 as well?
Kind of. So, for example, there are currently 10 ships. When you make a character, you choose a ship. So your character within that ship goes into whatever lobbies. In each lobby, there is separate cloud lobbies for Switch. There's the PS Vita lobbies and things like that.
But basically, any characters you make on one ship, they can't carry over to another ship.
You can pay to transfer them over, but that means they're permanent in that other ship.
So it's more like WoW or Final Fantasy XIV, where there are mechanisms to play with other servers, but your character's still tied to one.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the last kind of it's more interesting of what they're going to do. For those of you who don't know, the huge thing about PSO2 and why a lot of people like it is because PSO2 okay, in the lobby areas before you go into missions, there's these big monitors everywhere and stuff like that. And Sega usually just puts promotions on there, or they talk about other Sega games. They have a lot of collaborations, so they will promote other games, they will promote animes, they'll do collabs with animes. That's where, you know, we get a lot of costumes and stuff.
Animes, video games, 7-Eleven, etc.
So, I guess my last question is, because there's so many collabs, in Japan they do that and they have like agreements and all that fun stuff. Now the
trailer said all the content is coming.
That's exactly my concern. Like, well, is it really going to be everything? Are they allowed to bring like stuff from 7-Eleven over to the US here? Are they allowed to have the anime collabs that they have there over here, like for Konosuba or for
Yuki-Yuna or Madoka?
Yeah, things like that. Like, is that really going to be? Isn't that going to be an issue? Or are they going to have like separate collabs? Like the US is going to get their own collabs, and the Japanese are going to get their own. Or are they going to just do this so they can get even more for both? Because that's a possibility too. They could get like US collabs and promote that in Japan.
You see a lobby, you go and you see banjo-kazooie promos.
It seems as if the West is getting the official Western release is going to be a PC and Xbox One thing. Obviously, you two are playing it on PC. I know that much. And Xbox One definitely has more of an install base here than in Japan. It's kind of interesting. What if, say, they give you amnesty for your character to move it back here, but there's no Yuki-Yuna deal, but you're currently decked out in Yuna's garb? Do you get to be the only player on the US server with that outfit?
Yeah, see, things like that I don't understand. There is, for example, the players who have the Switch Cloud version of PSO. They are the only players to have Breath of the Wild costume.
And we can see those guys on the PC version.
We can see them, but we can never have it. So that's interesting too.
So you'll definitely tell who the Western players are, because they're gonna be in fucking like Master Chief helmets and fucking carrying Arbiter energy swords and
promoting John Wick material.
Well, and in the Japanese servers, every year they have like a costume contest that people hand in with like costumes and accessories and weapons and stuff. So does that mean that's going to carry over, or is the US going to get their own version? Like, I doubt
anything North America is going to get a fan contest or sort of thing.
But this is exactly where I'm like, okay, I need more information. Like, sure, they say all content, but there is actually quite a bit of what goes in this game. That's why a lot of people like it. Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of everything for everyone. Is that really going to translate?
I think what they mean by all content is going to be like all the episodes, all the quests that'll be out right up until it comes out in 2020, early 2020. Like we're going to get all the content up to like maybe chapter 2 or 3 of episode 6 when it comes out on PC. I don't know about costumes and costumes, camos, accessories, but when it comes, it's going to be like all the quests, missions, weapons, etc. I think that's what they mean by all the content.
One thing that's probably a no-brainer is the Final Fantasy XIV collabs, considering Final Fantasy XIV is more popular in the West than it is in Japan.
Now there was one already.
Yeah, and North American players got to fight a PSO2 boss. For some players, they'd be like, "What the hell is this thing?"
Wait, what was the boss they fought for? What was the PSO2 boss they fought in 14?
They didn't.
They I thought it was like...
No, you're thinking of Monster Hunter.
Yeah, there was Monster Hunter.
Yeah, but you can fight Odin in PSO2 from Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
But then what was the crossover content Final Fantasy XIV, though?
They didn't make one.
Really?
Yeah, that's actually why I was confused. I thought they were going to, but...
No, PSO2 just got a free Odin battle just for the hell of it, complete with Odin's mechanics, and like all the target markers to watch out for. And if you don't beat him in time when he does shit sensetsu again, everyone dies and the quest is a fail.
Apparently, the reason that never crossed over into 14 is because the outfits in PSO are so much more futuristic than what 14 currently has.
My God.
Yeah,
So-
it's a heavy sci-fi element.
There's Magitech armor in 14.
Yeah, but
that's not really like...
that's not sci-fi enough. It's not like futuristic laser robots and everyone dressed in slutty apparel.
It is all of those things. I guess the real takeaway is, okay, the Final Fantasy 14 boss could probably be in the Western version. It'll remain to be seen if they are. So there you have it, folks. Kiki has concerns. Both Po and Kiki are happy a Western release is coming out. Do you guys have anything more to say about E3 in general to include in me and Dave's post E3 cast?
I was kind of when it was Squaresoft, with the Squaresoft day, when I saw like all those videos when they were doing the 2 romantic saga ones, I was like, I would have been so hyped if there was a trailer for Saga Frontier Remaster and like a tagline be like, let's get it right this time.
That's not what the tagline would have.
The Final Fantasy 7 Remaster looks good. I'm hyped that they finally found the source code to bring back Final Fantasy 8 Remastered.
They found it in Shinichi's underwear drawer. It was under some tapes, some lewd tapes. It had a piece of pepperoni on it, dried up.
I thought the Commander Keen, the Commander Keen looks cute, even if it's like a mobile game of that sort of style. And no one was hyped for Dragon Quest Heroes, if the Dragon Quest Heroes or Smash Ultimate, but everyone was hyped for Banjo-Kazooie.
Cool. Keeks.
I thought the Xbox one was kind of bland, but I don't play a lot of those kind of games, so I guess that's not really a fair assessment for me.
No, it's fair. It sucked.
I thought the Square Enix time slot, I guess you could say, I thought overall was just excellent. Like, they started really strong, obviously, with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm sure everyone is mentioning, because it was such a great way to start, and it looks like they're doing very well with that game. I know some people had doubts, or they were kind of scared because, like, you know, Final Fantasy VII is a lot of people's favorites and a lot of people's, like, first Final Fantasy game kind of thing. I thought overall theirs was very entertaining because, like, it was just one good game after another, and they left the kind of dull things in the middle, which was great. They unfortunately ended with a whimper. I felt that Marvel game just didn't say anything to anybody.
They talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
They did that.
I saw the Nintendo. No, I didn't see the Nintendo.
You saw some bits of the Nintendo ones, the ones that you met.
You didn't get to see it live. You skipped through it.
That's right. The bits and pieces I saw were pretty good. I thought Link's Awakening. I really liked Link's Awakening when I played on the Game Boy, so that was super exciting. I was shocked to hear about the Breath of the Wild, which I'm sure you and David are going to be discussing in further detail.
Yeah.
That was really neat. So unfortunately, I didn't see it live, but I thought their stuff was pretty good. I think personally, Square Enix did the best, but again, that was one of the few that I saw. I only saw that in the Xbox one, which it was kind of lackluster.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for the input, guys. What other things we're talking about during E3? Another mini console revealed by Konami, of all things. The TurboGrafx 16 Mini. And unfortunately, the Japanese version, the PC Engine Mini, is getting some exclusives, which sucks. Because we really should be getting Rondo of Blood, but the TurboGrafx 16 had a lot of good games.
It did.
Giddy up there.
Yep.
The Genesis Mini is where all the hotness is at so far.
True. Oh, I missed a game during the Nintendo one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the new Contra game.
Contra Rogue Core has a panda in it.
I honestly think this game looks like ass.
Do you?
Every time Contra's gone to this style, the game has not been good.
No, that's not true. What about that one with the samurai in it? That was a fun game.
Which one?
The one with the samurai in it.
I'm drawing a blank.
It has samurai. You play as Bill Reiser, and player 2 is the samurai. It was the second 3D Contra game when Contra came back during the PlayStation era. And I don't remember the title.
See, it made such little impact, I don't remember the title.
Okay, cool. I don't know. I think this game looks fun. It looks like a fun little shmup. It's not Val Venus or whatever the fuck game you showed me earlier. Val Ferris, I think it is. But, I mean, it's still, you know, we don't have to draw comparisons. We can play both games.
Oh, and that's just it. I don't think it looks great, but that's just the thing. Until I have my hands on it playing it, I'm not going to know. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Speaking of Contra, they have those collections that have come out.
Yeah, that's right.
And I will be picking those up for one of the systems. I still haven't determined which.
Cool.
Let's briefly talk about Sony this year. Only reason I bring up Sony is that we knew Sony wasn't coming this year.
That's right. I thought for sure we were going to get a State of Play, but we didn't.
But we didn't even get any Sony partners or anything else doing anything Sony. Like, we didn't hear about The Last of Us. We didn't hear about Death Stranding. Two of the big games that are exclusive, we didn't hear from anybody on.
We heard about Final Fantasy VII Remake.
We did, but that's going to be on all consoles.
True, but for now, this is very much a Sony thing.
But we didn't hear about any games that just had the Sony logo. It was multi-console games from their publishing partners.
Mm-hmm.
I expected... It's almost like Sony told their partners, yeah, we don't want you there. We want to do this ourselves down the line.
There's a lot of what did I call Sony last year? Smelling its own farts.
Yep.
They are definitely just wafting it in and enjoying that scent.
I mean, look at Sony these days. I mean, Sony, it's weird. Sony is in the same place that Nintendo was back in, up until a couple of years ago. They are censoring all their games. They don't want anything to do with certain topics.
Man,
and you will.
You mean Nintendo decades ago, not just a few years ago.
Well, no.
Nintendo has been lax since
the
SNES days.
No, like in the N64 and even the GameCube days, they wouldn't have accepted a game like
Senran Kagura?
Senran Kagura, yeah.
That's funny because they totally did in both those eras. Nintendo relaxed it in Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2 in the SNES was like the definitive version with all the blood and gore and shit. Nintendo censorship hasn't been a thing since the 16-bit days.
I seem to remember them still being pretty much stickler on a bunch of different games up until
maybe some of their first party stuff, like they didn't like all the panty screenshots people took of Peach in Smash Melee. But even then, you can get a good look under Palutena's dress in Smash Ultimate. Don't ask me how I know that. And they haven't shied away from having some sexy content in their own first-party stuff, even.
But I mean, Sony with the PlayStation 4 has become really...
The Trials of Mana had some titty bouncing in it. And that was only in the Nintendo thing. Where are you even talking about Nintendo censorship?
Because I still remember reading articles about Nintendo asked us to take this out or take that out, whereas Sony wasn't for a long time. Now, Sony is becoming very... very strict.
Let's just shit on Sony, man. Let's not drag anyone else down with them. Like,
I was making the comparison to old Nintendo.
Okay. As long as old Nintendo we're talking about.
Old Nintendo didn't like religious themes.
Sure.
No crosses, none of that sort of stuff.
And yes, for sure in their first party stuff, they definitely took them out of, like, say, Zelda 64, Ocarina of Time, and some other games. But they didn't, like, not have violent fucking... A first-party game on the N64, Killer Instinct Gold, had violent fatalities, like...
I didn't say they were censoring violence. It was usually, like, sexual themes and stuff like that.
Oh, let's talk about Orchid, then. You want some titty bounce, and you play some Killer Instinct Gold on your Nintendo 64, or some Killer Instinct Not Gold on your Super Nintendo.
Fair enough.
There's some nipple outlines on that character, like... The Xbox version is tame by comparison.
Anyway, just saying that Sony is becoming a lot more controlling, and it's not good.
Sure, and, you know...
I almost
Sony,
say that Sony may be heading back for a PlayStation 3 first couple years situation.
Maybe.
With the level of control they're trying to push.
Maybe. They're being dumb. Maybe they're in financial trouble. Maybe the PlayStation brand is in trouble.
Except it can't be. They won this last console cycle.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
A lot of people thought Russia was winning the Cold War, and it turned out they had no money.
Okay, but Sony is transparent with the number of systems it sells. From what we can tell about Microsoft sales, they sold about half as many systems in this console cycle than Sony did.
Well, I mean,
they outsold both Sony or Microsoft and Nintendo together.
I'm glad we saved this to the end, because this is the boring part of the podcast for sure.
Well, it's going to be followed up with what I thought was the worst part of the show.
Sure. Well, we'll see, because if that's true, I have a fair number of games on my PlayStation 4, and I don't want to wait for Final Fantasy VII Remake to come out on Xbox One, especially since I don't own one. So...
Fair enough.
I don't want to see them go, you know what? Cloud can't have a sword.
So that's all I wanted to say about Sony. I mean, other games we didn't see this year was Ghost of Tsukushima. The Crash Bandicoot Racer wasn't there.
Yeah, a CTR, Crash Team Racing, Nitro Field.
That wasn't even at the show.
I thought Mario Kart 9 had a good chance of showing up, and it turned out, nope, they're still sticking with 8 and promoting that. So
yeah. And now comes a little topic I call worst of E3.
Oh God, no, we did a worst of a word. We don't want to end on a downer.
I don't see why not.
Okay, folks, here's the downer part.
Mythic Quest. Now, you didn't watch Ubisoft.
Nope.
Be glad for that. Because they're doing a TV show only on Apple TV Plus called Mythic Quest. And this is a development studio who makes this WoW-style game, which is very popular, and the shenanigans that happens inside that studio. The lead developer is an egotistical asshole, and they spent a good 10 minutes on this. And it was just fucking awful.
So live action show?
Yes.
So it's a TV show?
TV show.
Well, don't mind me, I'm just pulling out a switchblade. And I'm going to kill you before you continue, because if that's the start of your downer section, I don't want this to keep going.
Yeah, tough. Bethesda's Fallout 76 and the Blades being highlighted because of the loot box and timer hell that it's become, as well as Commander Keen. Don't need to go into any more details on those. We've already talked about that, but just mentioning it. The focus on mobile games this year. Mobile games and streaming. I mean, mobile games, we got Splinter Cell Tactics.
Okay.
Funko Pop Gears.
Gears Pop.
Commander Keen.
Uh-huh.
And many more I don't want to name.
Mobile can be a great platform. It sucks that it's all for all these exploitative games.
Yes.
I've played some really good mobile RPGs that aren't gacha games, but actually legit RPGs. And they're like the exceptions these days, you know.
I've even played a couple good free-to-play gacha games.
I heard good things about Grand Blue, which I'm going to be starting out here soon, because you can play a very good English version of it.
Yeah, I can't.
Even though it's not officially in English yet.
I can't play it because I have an unhacked iOS.
Yeah.
So until it comes here legally, I won't be playing that.
Get off iOS, man.
Yeah, it's fine for now. I don't want to buy a new phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're dragging up a whole bunch of these old properties that people love, and then throwing them into monetized, crappy mobile games.
This is late capitalism, man. This is profitable. It's profitable to have a freemium model, or even worse, sell you a full-priced game and still sell you stuff on top of it that's already on the disc.
Yeah.
Like, DLC should expand the product. It shouldn't be to earn access to what you already bought.
Agreed.
Like, it's just, look, I love games and gaming, but I'm a big fan of Peter Coffin. He said something to the effect of how you look at gaming to see all the ways capitalism is going to exploit you in your life. It happens in gaming first. And he's right. And while I have no problem doing E3 stuff with you because I find it entertaining and kind of therapeutic, it's still kind of awful that we're supporting the machine. And it leads to all these exploitative games that are trying to nickel and dime people. Even the least evil of these, Hearthstone probably, which I don't even play anymore, even the least evil of these are still massively evil. And yeah, that'll be my worst of, is the state of society and how gaming reflects it. All in all, a great upper kind of good note to end the E3 talk on. What did you think of E3? Leave a comment. Leave a voicemail. Oh, let's check the voicemail lines one more time. Last time, I swear to God, we've been recording for how long? Like 5 hours?
Just over 2.
Just over 2. I expected this. No voicemail. It's okay. Send us a voicemail. If we get enough that are E3 related, maybe we'll do an E3 follow-up thing.
Tune in next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Two Fat Guys Talk. The Sword vs. Moonrod art is by the talented Red Caliburn. Find her on Instagram and DeviantArt. RedCaliburn. Music tracks used were Bit Bit Loop and Good Nightmare by Kevin MacLeod, found at freepd.com. Be sure to visit our site at animerave.xyz for more of this podcast, and for Carlos and Dave Anime Rave, the best anime review and reaction show on the internet. If you like what you heard and can afford it, help keep us going by becoming a patron via the Patreon link on our site. If you can't afford it, no worries. Just spread the word. As always, thank you for listening.